Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'll be showing you how to make a public toilet in Minecraft for all of your city building needs. Fun fact, I am hidden somewhere in the intro of this video. Let me know down there in the comment section if, where and when you found me. The first person to leave a comment getting it right will have their comment pinned. This is the amount of space required to make the build, a 13 block wide by 14 block long area as represented by this very handy grid on the screen. To find the starting position, begin at the front left hand corner of the grid, count to the right, find the third block, and then count inwards by 1. That is where we begin. And here are all of the materials that we will use throughout the build. Please do make sure that you have access to all of these. Begin the build by placing 2 cyan terracotta in a row on the ground. 1, 2. Dig 1 block to the right. Replace that block with dried kelp. Then place an iron door on top. Then place 2 more cyan terracotta extending right. 1, 2. Extend backwards by 1, and then right by 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then extend backwards by 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then extend all the way across the back of the build, lining up with the front of the build, then simply join and connect these 2 blocks together. We can then remove all of the grass from inside of our build and replace that grass with dried kelp. Next, we want to build up our walls by placing a row of 1, 2, 3 quartz pillar on top of the front left hand corner of the build. We can then extend a row of 1, 2, 3 cyan terracotta across the top of the door. Then we will fill underneath and on top of this in using quartz pillar, and we will spread that row of 3 quartz pillar all the way around the top of our walls. We have to be careful to make sure that the quartz pillar is placed vertically. Next, we will begin work on the roof by placing a row of polished tuff extending across the top of the front of the build, left to right. The polished tuff wants to overhang the side of the build by 1 row on both ends. We want to do the exact same thing on the back of the build. Now we will place a polished tuff slab extending out of the back of the row of tuff and forwards out of the row of tuff. We then will place rows of polished tuff slab extending up and inwards like this towards the top of the build until they join together like so. We then want to fill along the inside of the roofline in using cyan terracotta. We can also apply this to the opposite side of the build, not just the cyan terracotta part, but also the polished tuff slab part. This is the outline for the roof. We can make filling it in quite simple by placing solid, polished tuff blocks where possible, connecting both sides of the roof together, and then afterwards we can simply join all of these slabs together. Next, we are going to add ferns all the way around the outside of the toilet. We basically just place them in any remaining grass that we have inside of the grid. We are then able to remove the white concrete of the grid and this is just going to allow us to place smooth stone inside of it, and this will create a path that just allows us to circle the toilets. For the actual entrance itself, we will add a stone button next to the door so we can actually get in, a row of string in front of the cyan terracotta with grey carpet on top, just like this. We will then move around to the side of the build where, leaving a gap of 1 here, we will place a polished black stone wall and then 2 white concrete on top, which we will extend to the right by 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then extend across and join here. Then we will connect the end of this sign down to the ground with a polished black stone wall. It is worth mentioning that if you wanted to center this sign in the middle of the build, you actually can. So you can just shift it up 1 row this way and it sits nicely right in the middle. But for some odd reason, I can't really explain it, I prefer this. So that's what I'm going with. Next, let's make some banners. So on the front of the toilets is a male/female sign showing that anybody can use these, which we will now make. So throw down a limb. Open it up. So we need a white banner with some black dye, and first we will apply the pale pattern, followed by the creeper charge pattern. Remove the creeper charge, place white dye in there, and apply the perfess pattern. Put black dye back in and apply the roundel pattern. And that's it. That is the entire banner. Next we have to make the female banner by adding a black banner into the loom with some white dye. First, we apply the perfess inverted pattern. Put black dye in there. Apply the chevron pattern. Put white dye back in. Apply the bourgeois pattern. Black dye back in. Then pale. Then put the white dye back in. Apply the perfess pattern. Black dye back in, and then apply the roundel pattern. And there we go. There are both of our banners. Now let's just apply them to our actual building. So 1 here and 1 here. Feel free to swap them around. And then we can just place some grey carpet on top. However, those are not the only banners that we have to make. We also have to write out the word toilet in banners. So white banner, black dye. The first letter we must make is T. So this is the chief pattern, then pale pattern. Next is O. This is pale dexter, pale sinister, chief, and base. Next is I. This is just the pale pattern. Next is L. This is pale dexter, base. Next is E. This is pale dexter, chief, fess, and base. And then we would need T again, but we already have it. So instead, we will now place T, O, I, L, E, T. Just like this. I did contemplate writing toilets, but for some reason it both sounds right, but looks wrong. So I don't know. Do feel free to add an S if you like. There's more than enough room. We can then place grey carpet on top of the sign, and that is the entire outer part of the build complete. With the entire outside of the build complete, we can now head inside and work on the interior. That is so hard to do in the third person. Step 1 might just be cleaning up the inside of this build. So I think that first of all, we have to add a layer of cyan terracotta across the top of this wall. And then it's up to you whether you want to maintain this entrance like this, or what I chose to do was to smooth out this wall completely like this, and I think it just looks better. And it actually makes it nice to conceal either any one of these pressure plates will do. This one is kind of as close to the kelp as you can possibly get, the warped pressure plate. Stone is grey, of course. Heavy weighted pressure plate white. So like whatever you think kind of like blends together nicely with the rest of the materials, use one of these 3 pressure plates. I'll also give you 2 options for the roof. So option 1, we can apply some polished tough slabs like this, and we can kind of create a gradient with the roof, and that's all nice and well. But my personal preference is to fill this part of the ceiling in completely with cyan terracotta. The reason being is because at the back part of the roof here necessitates a row of polished tuff. We can't get rid of it. Whereas on the front here you see it's nice and smooth. So it doesn't match, which bothers me, and it might bother you. So if that's the case, go with cyan terracotta. If not, have nice high ceilings. But I think that this is high enough for me. We don't need to go too crazy. Next, we are going to make some urinals by placing an upside down smooth quartz stair here, tripwire hook on top, stone brick wall to the left, another stair, another tripwire hook. Next, some stalls. These are 2x2 squares of smooth quartz block with smooth quartz slab across the top. We then leave a gap of 1 and repeat this, and another gap of 1 and repeat this. Inside of each of these we place a cauldron with spruce trapdoors on top. Feel free to flip one of them up. Item frames here in this position, stone button here on the wall. We can then place a white banner in the item frames and turn it down. Apply backwards oak trapdoors in front of the stalls. Leave a gap of 1 along this back wall. Place an upside down smooth quartz stair, gap, stair. Item frames on top. Lever on top, either pointing upwards or down, whichever one you prefer. Then we will place a flower pot here in this corner, and a stone stair here in this position, stone button here. We want to place a couple of paintings, so they will be placed like this. We want literally those 2 right there. That is perfect. And there's also room here for a painting as well, a larger one, so a 2x2. Any that kind of fit the colour scheme, this is the only problem with paintings, I would recommend. That one's actually not too bad. I'm quite happy with that one. And lastly, we just have to make another banner. Throw down a loom, open it up, light blue banner in there with white dye, apply a gradient pattern, then a bend pattern, black dye in there, add the bull jaw around it, place it here, and here. There you go. With that final detail added, we have officially completed this tutorial. However, this video is not over. We must now add our public toilets into our city. Initially, I was looking towards the new suburban suburbs for this build, maybe next to the park, but we have another park in the new modern suburbs, and we have this handy patch of land. I think you guys can see where I'm going with this. I really didn't expect it to end here, but I'm glad it has. You may be interested in becoming a channel member. You can click the join button that will be somewhere on the screen right now. This does cost money and is a monthly subscription, but you do get some perks. The first of which is a download link for my city design world. This has every single build that I have placed in my city, arranged in order, and labelled. This perk also comes with schematics for the mods Lightmatica and World Edit, so you can easily reference and copy and paste these builds into your worlds in any way that you'd like. However, if you're not interested in any of that building business, the highest tier allows you to download the most current version of Mini City. There are also some minor perks, including loyalty badges displayed next to your name whenever you comment something down below on my videos. Depending on how long you have been a channel member, you gain a more prestigious helmet, with the highly coveted gold builder's hat being the most valuable. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.